Welcome to Midterm Rental Mastery. So, today I am doing a pop up live. And the reason I'm doing this is because, number one, I get a lot of questions that people are asking me about midterm rentals and a client avatar and who we should be talking to. So I'm doing this live today, number one, because I got a little bit of time and I wanted to interact with some people just to see what questions we may have, etc. So while people are jumping on, what I do want to talk about again is what is a client avatar? And then what is your avatar as an actual operator? So for me, when I say avatar, an avatar is a description of a person. An avatar is a description of your client. It is who are you? Who are they? What do they want? What do they need? What do you want? And what do you need? So, this is really, really important for you to define before you ever get started. And I'm going to repeat that because I probably should have started this with a countdown, but I just started talking. And I'm late because I was going to do this at 1 o'clock. And one of my reps from one of my companies called, and we're trying to place a family with cats, 8 cats in a house. So I'm late. My apologies. So, again, we're going to talk about client avatars. And again, an avatar, if you're just joining, an avatar is a description or profile of a person, which would be yourself as an operator or your client who you're working with. And so I'm going to start with the operator avatar because this is extremely important. And when I do my consulting calls, the number one thing I ask first before we ever start talking about properties, before we ever start talking about clients is who are you? Why are you doing this business? What do you care about? What do you want? And what do you need as a business? So if I talk about myself, I want, I'm not going to say the typical thing that people say for financial freedom. That is not really what this is about. Like, that is a byproduct of the business that I'm running. The reason that I got started with midterm rentals is because it fit me as a person, because I don't necessarily want to run short-term rentals where I have a lot of turnover and a lot of management. I prefer to do the midterm rentals because I don't necessarily have to interact with the guests all the time because they're staying with me for various reasons. So for me, the number one reason that I liked midterm rentals was because I didn't want to be so hands-on that I basically picked up another job. That was number one. Second, I personally used to be a corporate traveler. And so in the corporate traveler realm, I know what people are looking for when they're staying in a property, whether that is the comfort of the beds, whether that is having easy accessibility, having all your plates, your cups, everything that you need in the property. Those are all things that I looked for because I was trying to figure out how I could not have to go out and eat out every day, spend a ton of money, pick up a ton of weight, whatever the reason is that you're, wanting to make sure that you can cook at home. Those things were extremely important to me. So all I did was sit back and thought to myself, who am I? What do I know about this business? And why would I be interested to get into it? Now, I've been in the insurance industry also for almost 20 years. So that 20 years of experience that I had in the insurance industry as a licensed adjuster, a manager, I used to be a traveler on a catastrophe team. So I would go out to disaster zones and meet with people in person. Yeah, somebody asked, is that 8 cats in the house with the person? Yeah, it's a family that has 8 cats and they have a dog and everything else for that one I'm trying to place. So again, for me, it's defining who I am, what I relate to in this business. I relate to people. So, for example, I just got off the phone with a family that I just placed in one of my properties. They have a plumbing issue in their house. And so they're going to be out of their home for the next 2 or 3 months. I have a house for them, and that's great. But I need to understand what is it that they need and what are they looking for in order to provide them the proper property that fits for them. So for me, I care about people, and that is my avatar. My avatar, as my friend Pace Morby defines, you can be a helper, you can be a connector. I'm also an investor, so you can be someone who talks to sellers. It all depends on what you want to do. But for me, I love talking to the companies that I work with, and I like talking to the clients. That's my biggest thing. So I'm great at being on the phones with people, but I've got people that I work with that do not want to operate their properties, but they like the money that comes from midterm rentals. And let's just face it, the money is there if you do it right and you know what you're doing. So the next avatar that you have to define yourself within that scope is, do I want to actually be the person to operate it? Maybe you do, and maybe you don't. A lot of people think that they have to be the one to operate it. They think they have to be the person to go out and locate all of these listings, and you don't. I have clients that I work with, and I actually go out and market the properties for them. I get the bookings completed, I negotiate contracts. Again, you have to define how involved you want to be in the business. So you may have a property, but you don't actually want to run it. Maybe your goal is to go lay on the beach while somebody else takes care of it. That doesn't mean that you can't get into midterm rentals. It just means that your avatar as an owner is going to be different, maybe, than my profile as an owner, because I'm an owner and I'm an operator, like a live operator, not necessarily the same. And then you have other people that want to get into real estate and they just want to be investors in real estate, or they want to put their money to work. Now, I have quite a few people that I work with that are like, I love the concept of midterm rentals. Love the concept. However, I don't want to deal with the ownership. I don't want to deal with the operation. I never want to talk to a guest. All I want to do is have you go do all the work, put my money to work that's sitting in the bank doing nothing, and you have fun with your midterm rental operation and just pay me my money every month. Plenty of people I have that are private investors, private lenders, and they're happy to be involved in midterm rentals that way. So again, you have to decide where you want to be in the scope of this midterm rental realm. And we talked about this on a prior recording where I did the discussion about what the heck is a midterm rental. That one's really important to check out if you haven't seen it. And the reason is because we run into the situation right now where a lot of people are saying, I want to get into midterm rentals, but they don't actually know what that means or who it is that they're going to be serving, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. You're doing yourself and you're doing your customers a disservice if you don't know who that is. Because what you'll find is that you will chase your tail trying to figure out who should be in your property. Do you want to be an operator that has a 4-bedroom house and then you do rent by the room? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't typically do rent by the room, and I've had opportunities to do it. I just personally prefer not to, but it doesn't mean that someone else can't do it. So, rent by the room, again, cool on a very large house if that's your choice. But then you have to define who is it that you're serving with a house like that. So if you figured out where you fit into the space of midterm rentals, that's phenomenal. So I'm going to give you an example. So I have a client that we are working through her first listing on her midterm rental. She lives in a duplex and it is a 2-unit duplex. So she lives in one part and she has the other unit. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath that she's going to be renting out. She is a nurse in a hospital. Her avatar is like the clients that she's going to go after is perfect because she's able to draw from the hospital that she actually works in for clients who are traveling there. So, yesterday, if anybody saw my Instagram post, I was working with my client through her first listing. We're putting it on Furnish Finder because her client avatar that she's going to go after for her guests is travel medical professionals. We've been working for the last several weeks, though, on getting her in front of people in that hospital. She's been doing surveys. We've gone through questions that she should be asking those people to find out what they want and what they need. This is the perfect avatar for her as a host because she knows what those people are going through at their job. She has a direct line to them. They do the same job. It's the same reason why, for me, corporate relocations and also insurance relocations, and I do some travel medical professionals, but again, they're travelers. All of those fit so well with me because I was one of those people. So my client, she's actually got her first guest lined up from the work that she put in her physical hospital before her property's even listed online. And she's going to be making a very decent profit every month. So she was able to define who she was, and that was the questions that we went through at the beginning of her consulting is, who are you? Let's see how this can fit for you, and then let's choose your clients. So now we're looking at the guest avatar. So you have to think about, what does your guest want and what does your guest need? Okay. So if I have a guest that is traveling, and let's say they're a travel medical professional, what do they want? They want quiet. They want peaceful. They want dark when they're sleeping. The number one thing that I find is blackout curtains. Well, I have a lot of travel medical professionals that tell me the places that they were staying, the people didn't understand what they wanted. Spend some time analyzing information about who it is that you want. So, let's say you're going to work with travel medical professionals. Do you know there's a ton of Facebook groups that are designed for travel nurses and travel, housing, etc.? Go into those groups and read what the people are telling you that they want. That is the best way to figure out what they need. It is your job to provide that as an operator. Again, if you have defined that you're going to be the live operator, that is your job to figure out what your clients want. It's no different than when I go to Walmart or Target. They have done market research to figure out what their clients want, and that's what our job is as well. If I'm working with a family that's in insurance displacement, the first thing I typically want to know is, why are they out of their home? Now, again, I've been in the insurance industry for a very long time, so I understand the lingo and I understand what people are looking for in houses, but I ask a ton of questions. So, when we're talking about, I want to get into midterm rentals, the question is, who are you first? How involved do you actually want to be in the business? Because again, we think that we have to do certain things because it sounds like that's what we're supposed to do, but that doesn't mean you have to. Again, I'm also an investor. I'm also a realtor, even though I literally don't do a lot with my license. But I'm also a realtor, licensed investor. That's what I, basically go by. And I tell people that up front. I don't talk to a lot of sellers on a regular basis for properties that I'm looking to buy for midterm rentals. I don't, because my client avatar and my personal avatar is working with companies and working with the clients. I have a partner that does a lot of the calls because that is what he loves to do. Good for him. I love it. This is what teamwork is all about. You don't have to do everything on your own. Now, will I talk to a seller if they're looking to sell a property that I can later use for a midterm rental? Absolutely. The number one way that we buy properties right now is on creative finance. And then we have, again, private lenders who come in and help us buy these properties so we can get them rented out, so we can provide a service to the clients that we're working with. But I spent a ton of time defining who is my client avatar and defining who I am as a person. The more you can define who you are and what you actually like to do and what you don't like to do, you will determine where you fit best in this business and also where your clients are going to fit best to work with you. So, I don't think we have a ton of questions in the chat right now. I've answered some of them that I've seen pop up between Facebook and YouTube as we were talking. And I wanted to pop in again really quickly. I was so late because I was talking to one of my relocation specialists about housing. This is going to count as my YouTube drop for Friday, which is today's April 28th, because I have to go back now and I have another housing request that just came in. So I'm trying to help get people placed in homes today. That is my number one job for today on Friday, is to get people in and get people moving to their next location. So if you have questions, if you haven't joined my Facebook group, which is Midterm Rental Mastery on Facebook, please join us. Follow me on IG. It's at the Tanisha Epps. Like and subscribe on my YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. And I'm also now doing consultations for people. I had to kind of work out my schedule, and I have a couple of coaching clients that I'm working with at the moment. So it really just depends on the schedule and, again, who you are as a person, where we are. But feel free to reach out to me. All of my info is in the bio, in the descriptions. And I really appreciate you guys joining today. Happy Friday. and I will see you all next week. Thank you.